Hey everyone, this is Mr. Modern Emulation. Today I'm back with one of the most interesting and honestly, most from the future topics in gaming right now. Because lately we've been seeing a concept pop up everywhere online. PS2 games coming to PC, but not in the classic way. And no, I'm not talking about the usual open an emulator, load the ISO, crank up the resolution type of thing. What we're talking about today is something different. PS2 Recompilation Pc Ports. It sounds a bit technical, I know, but don't worry. By the end of this video, you'll clearly understand what it is, why it matters, and how it could change the future of retro gaming. Now, let me start by saying this. We already know how to play PS2 games on PC. We've been doing it for years. Emulators like PCSX2 have made huge progress. And some games run so well today that when you play them in 4K, you honestly forget they were ever PS2 titles. But emulation has its limits, because emulation basically means your PC is trying to pretend it's a PS2. It's simulating the console hardware. And during that process, certain issues can still happen. Performance drops, weird shader glitches, broken effects, shadow bugs, or those classic moments where you're ready to play and suddenly crash. That's where recompilation comes in. Because recompilation isn't about your PC pretending to be a PS2. The goal is to make the PS2 game run on PC almost like a native title. And the word native is important here. Native means the game runs directly on PC without needing an emulator layer. This isn't a remaster, and it's definitely not a remake. You're not rebuilding the game from scratch. Instead, you're basically translating the game's code to work on a different platform. This is what recompilation really means. The game's executable code gets analyzed, the PS2 CPU instructions get decoded, and then that logic gets recompiled into something the PC can run. So instead of running PS2 instructions, the game starts running PC-friendly instructions. That's where the magic happens. But let's be honest. Doing this with the PS2 is not easy. The PS2 is one of the most legendary consoles of all time. Massive library, huge sales, pure nostalgia. But it's also one of the weirdest consoles ever built in terms of hardware design. It had the Emulation Engine CPU, vector units, the graphics synthesizer, DMA systems, a highly specialized architecture that was almost like a mini spaceship for its time. Developers often use very specific tricks to squeeze performance out of it. Some games were literally built around PS2 specific behaviors. That's why PS2 emulation took so many years to mature. Now imagine going one step further. Instead of emulating the PS2, we're talking about recompiling PS2 games to run natively on PC. That's why this topic is both insanely exciting and insanely difficult. So why is everyone talking about it? Because if recompilation works well, the benefits are huge. A native style port can deliver more stable performance, lower input lag, and better frame pacing. It can reduce those classic emulator issues like broken shaders or weird rendering bugs. And most importantly, it opens the door to modern PC features. Proper widescreen support, ultra-wide monitors, unlocked frame rates, 60 frames per second, even 120 frames per second in some cases. Just imagine that. Classic PS2 games running smoothly at 60 frames per second. That alone feels like a revolution. And then there's the modding side, which I think is where things could truly explode. Yes, you can mod emulated games too, like texture packs and upscales, but with native style ports, modding potential becomes much bigger. Camera fixes, control improvements, new models, custom content, even community expansions. PS2 games could be reborn. Some PS2 classics are still masterpieces, but they're hard to enjoy today because the camera is outdated, the controls feel heavy, or some systems haven't aged well. Recompilation and PC ports could allow the community to modernize them, and that's not just nostalgia, that's preservation. And this brings us to a bigger point: publishers. In recent years, publishers have become obsessed with ports, remasters, remakes, definitive editions, collections. But the problem is, everything depends on whether the company wants to do it or not. If they don't, the game stays locked in the past. Some titles are stuck because of licensing issues. Some source codes are lost. some studios shut down and the game disappears forever. That's where community-driven tools and recompilation technology can act like a rescue mission. If this grows, games that were once considered impossible to bring back could return. This isn't just about playing old games on PC, it's about saving gaming history. Games are culture, just like movies and music. Losing them is a real tragedy. Now, one important question: is this legal? We have to be careful here. Most recompilation projects are community-driven and usually follow the idea that you must own the original game files. So instead of distributing full games, they release tools, patches, and converters that help you run the game on PC. But copyright is always complicated. Not every project works the same way. So let me be clear. This video is not encouraging piracy. I'm talking about the technology and what it means for the future. So where does this go from here? To be realistic, not every PS2 game will be easily recompiled. Some titles are extremely complex, using hardware-specific effects, unique data formats, and strange console-only tricks. But once the path is opened for some games, more will follow. And I honestly believe that in the next few years, we'll start hearing this sentence more and more. This PS2 game now has a native PC port. Even saying that out loud feels crazy, because for years, PS2 was known as hard even to emulate. And now we're talking about native PC ports. If this technology truly takes off, we could be entering a new era. People talk a lot about PS3 emulation and Xbox 360 emulation, but the PS2 library is massive. It's a treasure chest. And many PS2 games aren't just nostalgic, they're still incredible in design, atmosphere, storytelling, and music. If these games come to modern PC properly, new generations can finally experience them the right way. And the best part? This doesn't have to rely only on big companies anymore. Communities, developers, modders, they can all be part of it. A true preservation movement. To me, PS2 Recompilation PC Ports feel like old games waking up from a long sleep, legends returning, adapting to modern platforms, and maybe, just maybe, games that we thought were lost forever will finally come back. So yeah, that's what PS2 Recompilation PC Ports are all about. Now tell me in the comments, which PS2 game would you want to see as a native PC port the most? Some titles instantly come to mind and just thinking about it gets me hyped. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
Round 1. Fight! You win. Round 2. Fight! You win.